Hey guys, welcome to the Homestead. So today I thought we'd go over some news items that are out there. A lot of you guys have asked me about the whole Social Security numbers thing. And when I heard about this, I was just kind of rolled my eyes. I'm like, oh, this is par for the course. Some of you guys writing into me saying, Zach, what do you think about this? And I'm like, it's just the world we live in. You know, here's the deal. This is not something new. There are lots of people besides the government who have your Social Security number. Your banks have your Social Security number. If you're a homeowner, if you're an apartment renter, all those people have your Social Security number. If you hold different credit cards or debit cards or things like that, they all have your Social Security number. There's so many people out there who have your social. There's no way you're going to keep that safe. Do I think this just isn't a big deal? Well, of course it's a big deal. It's just a direct threat to people like you and me, regular folks who, are just trying to live their day-to-day, go to work, earn a living, pay their bills, and now we got to deal with stuff like this. I can't tell you how many times in this last year or 2 years, really 2 years, maybe more, how many times I have had to go get a new bank card because I don't use credit cards. I have a debit card, and I have a debit card I needed to go and get it redone because the number was stolen. And I've kind of figured out and switched on why that's happening. And it's usually because I go on a trip somewhere, I go travel, I do conferences, I do speaking events, I do consults for clients, Homestead consults, information on my website at AmericanHomestead.com. But I do that sort of thing, and it's usually when I come back a couple days later that there are erroneous charges now on my card, and I'm like, what in the world? And it seems like I've come to the conclusion that when you go into like a gas station and you pay for something inside, there's a camera somewhere, miniature high-resolution camera that's watching you, and it's just waiting for you to flip that card around, in your hand. And it gets that on video or on record. And someone can then a day or two later go through that and then get the numbers, get the number, the name, and they get the 3-digit PIN. And then they can use that to buy things online with. And so that's kind of what I've seen happen over and over again. And so now I'm really careful when I go into gas stations or anywhere where I'm going to pull my card out. It doesn't matter if it's a grocery store. Anyone can set up one of those tiny little cameras that no one can see. No one really knows it's there. They can disguise it a million different ways, but it's there collecting your numbers. And so now I'm really careful about keeping my card. If I have to insert it or something, I have to, keep it very carefully used, so that those numbers are not exposed to any cameras that might be in the area. And then also, when I'm doing my PIN number now, I'm always doing fake numbers. So if my PIN is a 4-digit PIN, ding, 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 well, then I do ding, 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 and I only hit it 4 times, of the right numbers. And I've gotten very good at that too. It's just, you have to go through stupid, insane steps that if we just prosecuted criminals for doing criminal things, you'd have less criminals, but we don't do that today. We just ignore them, we release them, we let them do all these horrible things, and really with a slap on the wrist, if anything at all. And so all that does is encourage more bad behavior. The way you fix bad behavior is to make people accountable, make stupid hurt when you exhibit bad behavior. So we don't do that today in America. It's free for all. And goodness gracious, if you're living in the United Kingdom, you can rape, pillage, and do whatever you want if you're an out-of-country Muslim. And, we're going to put the people who are ranting about it on Facebook in jail. That's the world we live in. It's upside down world, bizarro world, clown show. Anyway, all that to say, I can't say any more about that because the redcoats might come and take me away. Okay, anyway, so one other thing that I'll mention, my father-in-law, Tim, Jamie's dad, has gotten me these things, RFID and NFC blocking card. And what I do is I put these things on either side of my wallet. So I have a wallet, and I have one on this side, and I have one on this side. So you can block it's called RFID sniffers. I actually made one of those once with a Arduino board back in the day. If you've ever done that, if you know what Arduino is, I actually made an RFID sniffer and it worked. It only worked at a very short distance, but nowadays they got powerful stuff where they can just bump up to you or slightly get close to you and they can sniff all of your RFIDs, which are in your wallet because each one of these cards usually has an RFID associated with it. So you have these little blockers that block those signals, and I keep those on each side of my wallet. I've been doing that now for like the last, 6 months or so since he got that for me. But it was a problem. Every time I came back from somewhere, excuse me, oh, man. What's up with that? Every time I came back from somewhere, my stuff was stolen. So all that to say, yeah, Social Security numbers are out in the wind. They're out in the wind, and it doesn't surprise me. All your information is out in the wind. Now, if I may dive into Conspiracyville here for a moment, let me do that. So why do I think this might be happening? The mainstream media hasn't put a lot of emphasis on this thievery of our Social Security numbers. Although it is out there, people are seeing it on social media and other places. So what could be the reason? Listen, there's nothing safe. I talked about a year ago on this channel how almost every single state office, the license office for titles, if you own land, has been hacked. All this information is out there. There is nothing that's secure anymore. And with the way these governments are working, whether it's our government or other governments, they can get into anything. It doesn't matter. Even if you have your cell phone, it's only a matter of time. It's locked and it's encrypted. They can get into anything. There's certain encryptions they can't supposedly break yet, but who knows? All that to say, nothing is secure. I think that is going to lead to a push. Now, I'm getting into Conspiracyville here. Get my tinfoil on. I think that perhaps, maybe, this is a reason to push CBDCs and some of the certain companies out there that have government approval to make sure we know who you are online. We want to get rid, you see this over and over again at the World Economic Forum and other governments, especially the very left-leaning socialistic governments over in Europe, who are saying we need to get rid of online anonymity. We need to know who each one of you are. Because we can't have you out there saying crazy things that might, go against our agenda. No, we need to know who you are. And so we need some sort of online identification system that they can now link to a social credit scoring system or a CBDC system or some of these things like that. Well, we need that because, after all, the Social Security number thing, that's kind of archaic. It's all, corrupted anyway, and everyone, it's been compromised. Everyone has all the numbers out there. They don't mean anything. We just need to get rid of that. But we have this other thing now, these central bank digital currencies and this ID verification system. It's called KYC, Know Your Customer. All these things like that. And we can implement biometrics, and then we can implement a social credit scoring system, which they are already doing in China and Australia, and some other countries are trying to roll it out as well. But in Australia, it's like just this last year, they have now enacted their own social credit scoring system. They've got that now. That's a Western country that used to espouse liberty and freedom. That's just long gone. Forget all that. We got their guns away from them, so now we can do whatever we want. Okay, here's the thing. So could that be why we'll compromise these Social Security numbers? Maybe we will even leak them out there in order to make them irrelevant so that we can implement these new systems. I think that's a possibility because we're seeing other governments go that way right now. That's the move and the World Economic Forum has been very clear that's where they want to go. So there's that. I don't know. We'll see. We'll watch and, hold on to your pew-pews because that's really the only thing that's stopping them at this point, I think, from going completely crazy. Homeschooling stuff. I've been ordering homeschool materials. I got everything ordered. Everything is on its way. We start school on September 1st. Our local school here in the county where I live in has now gone to a four-day school week. Because, we can't, inundate these poor children with knowledge for that much time. That many days, that's just crazy. It's causing undue stress to these little churns. Absolute. People ask my kids, so how often do you do homeschool? 6 days a week. 6 days a week. Because I want my children to learn things. I want them to be able to learn how to read. I've met lots of these kids that come out of the school system that we have here, and they can't even read. I don't know this for sure, but I've been told there's litter boxes in that school, but I don't. Anyway, my point being is that the schools are out of control, and so you got to be a homeschooler. It was reported in our local paper that the school system in my county is down 100 students, and because each student receives from the state over $7,700 from the state for each student, the school district is now out over $700,000. That's a big kick in the pants. Well, why are we losing students? Well, the paper, talked about that. Well, we're losing some to this district and that district. Oh, and homeschool. Because people want their children to learn. We want our children to succeed, and you public schools are not cutting it. Anyway, so I have a child who's now a senior this year, and I have a child who's now going into 7th grade this year. And fantastic, I'm now putting together some of my curriculum. I've got everything on order. Everything's on its way, if not here already. And I thought I'd talk about one of the things I'm doing because I've said on this channel that I really think that history is your most important topic. Yes, we have math. Yes, we have reading and writing and spelling, and we have science and all of these different things. All very important. But history is by far your most important subject. Why? Because through the lens of history, you can learn about the mistakes from the past. You can learn about the successes of the past and then implement those things in your own life. You can read and learn about people who've made dumb decisions and read about people who are very successful, who made great decisions. And then you can do likewise and avoid the pitfalls of error. History is your most important topic. And the one thing about history that we've all learned is that people don't learn from history. And that's a mistake. This is your most important topic. The most important subject you need to teach in schools. And we hardly ever teach. You asked the regular public schooler today about certain topics that have happened 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 70 years ago, and they have no idea what you're talking about. Now, I remember my favorite one is when they go around outside and they're interviewing people and it says, when was the War of 1812? And they can't answer. When did the War of 1812 occur? And they can't answer that question because we're putting out idiots from our school system. So this year, I came up a couple years ago with an idea, and I've been thinking about this for the last few years, and I thought it'd be a great topic for a senior. And now that I have a student who's 17 years old, he's going to be turning 18, he's going to be a senior this year in high school, I thought this would be a great topic. A great history lesson. And so I'm going to make this a history lesson, and I'm going to combine it with grammar and writing and spelling because he's going to have to write some things. And I thought about the Billy Joel song, We Didn't Start the Fire. And I said, you know what? All of the things listed in that song would be a fantastic history lesson for the year. So my seniors' assignment for history, and it's going to be for writing, grammar, and spelling this year because he's going to have to write it all out. He's going to have to physically handwrite, these. And 3 paragraphs for each item listed in that song. And there are websites that are dedicated to all of the things in that song. And you have fantastic topics that give a very amazing view of history, especially in our country and around the world for the last 70, 80 years since World War II. And so it starts off, the very first thing is Harry Truman. And you learn about Harry Truman and Doris Day and Red China, Johnny Ray. And so you go through the list and you're learning about all of these amazing things. And I was going through it as I was figuring out, okay, how are we going to do this year? I bought him a notebook. He's going to write out 3 paragraphs for each thing and then go to the next one. And I was looking at some of these and I'm like, man, I never knew that about Dacron. Did you know that? It's like a DuPont product that came out. Studebaker. Amazing. That was a big thing back then. There were so many amazing things that happened that were mentioned in that song, and they provide a fantastic history lesson. Things that your public school kids have no concept or idea about because they've never been taught. Some basic, recent history about our nation and the world. Everyone thinks in that song when Billy Joel mentions U2, he's talking about the band. No, he's talking about the U2 spy plane that got shot down over Russia. And it was it ruined the Paris peace talks or treaty talks at the time that were taking place in France. And it was just a giant mess. And so there's like so many things there in that song. That's what we're doing for history this year. What do you think? Go back through that list and find some of the websites. I think the website Britannica has an entire page dedicated to all of the things of that song and gives a short snippet of that. And some of the things are a little bit mature. That's why I saved it for his senior year, because I think an 18-year-old, 17-year-old can handle that by now. And, there's some of the things, obviously there's different things in there that are going to require a more mature mind to understand and get your head wrapped around and be exposed to. But I think you should expose your children to some of the insanity of history. So that's what we're doing. That this year, we're going to do some other stuff, but we're going to be doing history, and it's going to be the Billy Joel song, "We Didn't Start the Fire." Go back through the lyrics, look them up online, read about them, and tell me what you think. I think that's an excellent idea. I'm actually quite proud of myself for thinking of that. I want to give my kids the best education possible. I want them to succeed. And in this world, if you just go the mediocre route of the public school system, all you're doing is hampering your children. All you're doing is handicapping them. And I don't want my children to be handicapped. I want them to have people hate playing trivia games with me. Because I often win, almost all the time. Because I love history and I love learning about things. And I want my kids to have this understanding of what has been, unburdened by what has been. I want them to be unburdened by what has been. And the only way you can do that is by learning history. Not by being Kamala Harris, Mamala, who can't even read a teleprompter. Listen, either she can't read a teleprompter or the person writing the script for the teleprompter can't spell. It's one of the two. Either way, it's a result of the public school system. Leave your thoughts below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And, if you are like me and you're watching the Social Security thing and you're like, man, this is just the end. It's the beginning of the end. And it's the beginning of a more harborized view of a social credit scoring system. Let me know if I'm right on that. Also, we are, let me just go ahead and, give a shout out to The Perfect Pickler. We got our value packages back up online for sale, and we have our vegetable fermentation kits. I'm going to do a quick video on some pickles, I think, over at Patreon. Right now, if you have cucumbers, now is the time to be out there fermenting your pickles. You have to use fresh pickles, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot use store-bought. So you have cucumbers out there, pick them and then brine them, ferment them. The probiotics you create are going to be so much better than those stupid pill bottles that you buy at the store that are really expensive. You're going to get so many more strains of helpful gut healing bacteria by using that. And plus you can do other things throughout the year too, like just getting this master system kit will get you started, even if you don't want to do the value package, a little more expensive. But either way, like you can go out and buy a cabbage and make your own sauerkraut. And you're going to get so many more probiotics from that than you ever will from those stupid pill bottles they sell you in the stores. It's one of the reasons why you've got to learn to be your own doctor. I put doctors in the same category as lawyers and politicians these days. Same category. Because they're all a bunch of liars and thieves. All the doctors today, most of them, are for sale. The herbal extract books, if you buy these on Amazon, they're going to cost you over $1,000. Last time I looked, this one was like over $1,400. Okay, the reason why they're so expensive is because of the valuable information contained within. They're out of copyright. They're out of print. Dr. A.B. Howard lived over 100 years ago, and this is amazing material. It gives color photos for all of the different things you need to stock up when it comes to tinctures. It doesn't tell you how to make a tincture. I mean, it does in there, kind of. That's easy. It's vodka, 80 proof, put it in a dark corner for 8 weeks and you're good to go. But what it does tell you, it tells you what to do with those tinctures, how to use them, why to use them. This is stuff that the pharmaceutical companies have been trying to get out of the humans' knowledge base for over 100 years because it works. The things that are illegal because they work. Okay, so there you go. You can download those over at patreon.com/AnAmericanHomestead. If you just go up to the collections tab right there, collections, once you become a patron, you can join for as little as $1 a month. I appreciate if you join at higher levels. I really do. You're fantastic. God love you. You're helping to support the channel. But once you join, all you got to do is go up to that collections tab up there, click on that, and it'll give you the download links to download those PDFs, and then it'll even give you an option to get them printed, or you can get them printed on your own, but get them printed. Don't keep them on the cloud. Very, very valuable information. All right, guys. Love you. See you next time in the Homestead. Bye. Have you ever gone to a health food store and seen all those small bottles of probiotics in your cooler section? Man, can they be pricey. Are you really getting all you need to improve your gut health from those expensive bottles? How viable are they? Most of those products claim to give you between 8 and 15 strains of gut-healthy healing bacteria. Think of each strain of bacteria as a different factory in your gut. Each factory is responsible for breaking down that food in its own way. The more factories you have, the more the food is broken down and the easier the food is absorbed and digested by the body. A 2018 study published by the National Library of Medicine shows that one fermented head of cabbage can produce up to 114 strains of beneficial bacteria. That's a lot more food factories than you're getting from that expensive pill bottle. And that's just cabbage. Imagine the probiotics when you add garlic, onions, pepper, and more to that ferment. PerfectPickler.com and its home fermentation kits provide you with everything you need to get started making your own gut-healthy food factories from the comfort of your own kitchen. PerfectPickler.com even provides a jam-packed recipe book with many of our kits. Visit PerfectPickler.com and start fermenting your own veggies to begin your journey to better gut health. That's PerfectPickler.com.
Hey guys, did you know you can become a patron of An American Homestead? They get access to private videos, and we send them gifts from the homestead that we make here on the homestead. And we also enter our patrons into special giveaways that are only available to them. And before you go, please check out these other great videos. Go ahead, click. I'll wait.